Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon. Excited to be here. Just typing that. Woo! All right. Hopefully I spelled it right. Hi. Welcome, welcome. We want to wait and let a few more people come in. Hi. Taraya. Hello, hello, all. Thank you for the hearts. I love it. I love how colorful they are, too. That's pretty cool. Thank you. I am excited to dive into what I think will be a quick and very, very interesting live stream for Let's Talk Intimacy. Welcome, welcome. I was trying to do a funny face, but I'm going to leave that alone. I'm just going to leave it alone. Soraya, I miss you. We need another tea date at Soraya or somewhere. Dean, thank you for joining. It's always good when your people join. Welcome, welcome. Thank you. It's cool. All right, so let's just dive in and we'll let people come in as they go. I send out some announcements, so people should come in. This is a little bit different than the normal time. I know I miss you so much. I miss you so much. We have to coordinate our schedules. And actually, I'll be in New York a couple of times this month. So if you're still out there on a regular basis for all the great things that you do in the world, we can probably connect there too if we keep missing each other in Philly, which is ridiculous. But I know it's our schedule, right? But I do miss you so, 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 so much. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to see you. Okay, so for those of you who are unfamiliar with Let's Talk Intimacy, this is a safe space. I am very excited to have it. I'm really a little bit upset that the last two Let's Talk Intimacies that we did not save. Even though we, click save the camera roll, save the archive, it didn't. So although it lived in the stories for 24 hours, for some reason, there is something going on with the tech gremlins in the universe of Instagram where these Let's Talk Intimacies are not allowing themselves to be saved so we can repurpose them on YouTube and you can see them later, which is kind of the goal. So you can kind of come back to it. I know you guys have really full plates, full schedules, but we're going to roll with it until otherwise, because I feel like this is my place for now for it to be on Instagram. So for everyone who is here, for everyone who listens to this replay, share it immediately with those who need to hear it, because I can't guarantee that it's going to live for more than 24 hours. Don't blame it on me, blame it on technology. I am pushing save. I'm checking it. It's clicked. It's there. It's just not happening. So, hey, cousin. Hey, Tanisha. Welcome, welcome. You're doing big things in the world. I'm happy you're here. Hi, sister. Welcome, friend. So I want to dive right in. For those of you who are unfamiliar with me, my name is Naketa Thigpen. I am the #1 balance and relationship advisor literally in the world. If you have a balance or relationship or intimacy issue that's coming up in your work life or in your love life, I am your go-to girl. So the fastest thing for you to do is to send me an email at asknikita@thigpro.com. Hey, Sister Tell. Welcome, welcome. Send it to at AskNikita at thigpro.com. Not at Ask, you know what I meant. It's at AskNikita on Instagram and Twitter, but for the email, send it there. And just let me know that you have some questions so that I can review them and then we answer them here on the live stream. You can also come into our free community, the Intimacy Advantage Clinic, that's on Slack. It's the only place that we're playing these days where we go deeper into these conversations behind the scenes. We've already done some really powerful work. People have gotten me on solos, on phone calls, so we could just forget going back and forth. Let's jump on a call and spend 20 minutes and see if we can resolve it. And we're doing great things. And that is my gift to you in the world. Those are the main ways to get to me if you want to just kind of hash out a problem and see what's happening. If we need to do deeper work in the world, that's going to be more than like a 10-minute thing, which happens. And of course, if I run out of, time on my schedule, then obviously I advise you to invest in yourself. Go to thigpro.com, see what looks good to you, and let's see if we can make space for you in a different program. That's the idea there. So that's my service to the world, and I hope that I can serve you great that way. But for now, let's do it here on the live stream. Please do not hesitate to ask all of your intimacy matters question. That's personal, professional, love, sex, platonic relationships, all those things that are coming up in the way that you connect with people, the way that they connect with you, the way you feel disconnected in the world, the way it's interrupting your work in the world and your impact in the world. Because of those connections or the lack thereof, this is the place to talk about it. So let's do it. I'm excited. All right. So a lot of stuff has been coming up over the last few months around intimacy, period, but especially with these relationships that are platonic and crossing over into sexy things. Let's say that. So this is not for our married folk for this particular part of the conversation, although some of you may have married people that were platonic friends at one point. I know I used to call my husband my brother. He was like my brother. He was my friend. I was happy to pass notes in high school to get him, next to other girls. It was just like not the thing. He had other focuses. I had other focuses, and we were just friends. And then we crossed over. So sometimes that does happen. And we were kids then. We're talking about adult things and how those relationships that were seemingly just cool people, good to know. Maybe you went out for drinks. Maybe you had, water cooler talk at work with, and they are crossing on it. You see my husband talking about she was on it. I won't front. I was on it. But that was much, much later. That was 4 years after we really knew each other. So don't pay him any attention. She was on it. He's so special. Anyway, he got me while I was young and dumb, but we'll leave that for a conversation for another time. Because if I had known what I know now, I would still be on it. That's the reality. But in all seriousness, we're really diving into that because it's coming up for a lot of people. Hey, Nisha. It's coming up for a lot of people that they're challenged with when is it okay to cross over? When is it okay to move forward in these relationships? And when is it not? Like, when should the brother just be the brother? When should the sister just be the sister? When should we just stay friends because we don't want to mess up the relationship? Or, when is it safe enough to go forward in it? Most of that is coming from what's showing up right now. People show you who they are really early on into your relationship. And we keep making excuses. I have been known to give people so much rope that they could have hanged 20 people along the way. But because I'm patient and I'm always seeing people's full potential and the possibilities in my past life, and even in some recent days when we're dealing with certain family members, I will give them rope and rope and rope, but they've been showing me who they were the entire time. So even as a friend, when your friend, your brother, your sister is telling you stories of how people did them dirty or how they had to cut somebody down emotionally, and as a brother or sister, as a friend, you're laughing about it, you're joking about it because you're like, oh, you're so crazy, whatever. They were telling you who they were then. So thinking that they'll be any different with you because it's you is probably not the best thing in the world, right? I had a client recently who said the same thing. She was like, listen, I was with her husband. I was with my husband since we were in college. We had been really good friends. And of course, I had known, how he was. He was a hoe back then. But because we were friends and I thought he respected me too much, that he would never treat me that way. And he showed up a hoe in their marriage, right? And it happens. And she's one of a million stories, really, that happens. When they show you who they are, believe them. Absolutely. When people show you who they are professionally, personally, and definitely intimately, you gotta believe who they are 1,000% instead of thinking that you're constantly going to be the one who changes them. The reality is they are who they are because of their own stuff. That probably has nothing to do with whatever your relationship was for them or would be. If I am a really angry person, it doesn't matter that the person that I'm a friend of or the person that I'm in love with is the opposite of me, and that's what attracts me to them, sure, because I see something in them that could possibly rub off on me and do good. But my anger has nothing to do with that person. My anger is coming from my stuff, my past, my issues. So me thinking, you know what? I need to get into a relationship with this dude or this girl or whatever the case is, and being with them will make me a better person. No, it won't. All you're going to do is make them a worse person. That's what's going to happen, because they're going to have to figure out how to box your toxicity and deal with all your nonsense to survive this relationship. And yes, you may have learned a few techniques or tactics of how to engage with people a little bit differently by watching your paramour, your significant other do it, for sure. But does that resonate and sit with you to carry over more than just a few times? Probably not, because we didn't give, an emotional antibiotic to the real issue in the first place, and you never really dealt with the real issue. And I'm just speaking about me. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me. But I know for me, I had to deal with the real stuff. In order for my husband to be able to love me, and in order for me to be able to receive that love and be ready to receive it, I had to work on me. I had to go to therapy. I had to do all that good stuff. I had to look in the mirror and be like, you cute, but that ain't cute. And sometimes we confuse the two, because at certain points in our life, we feel like, oh, well, he or she would be lucky to get all of this. Yeah, they would if you were ready to receive them. Like, are you worthy of them just as much as you want them to be worthy of you? We got to do the work. And it doesn't mean that starting the work is enough, right? Like, we started and that's very, very good, but you got to be consistent in it. So rolling forward a little bit and how this shows up in just the friendship part of it. Forget the love part for just a second. Forget the sex and all of that good stuff, because you can have a really toxic man sex you into heaven. Okay? They can really do all of that good stuff, but it doesn't mean that they're good for you. So let's push that aside just for a second and look at the relationship, just a platonic relationship, whatever that looks like, girls, guys, whoever. If I have a hard time in my platonic friendships, where that's just my homie, that's just my sister, if I have sex you into hell, exactly. If I have a platonic relationship that I can't handle being told the truth about myself, the other person can't handle me sharing how I feel about, maybe a small problem, but I'm just trying to nip it in the bud before it becomes something. And they're really showing up and saying, you're not really a friend. You think you're better than me. And if that stuff is coming out just from small problems, that's a huge indicator that that person is not only not worthy of you moving forward in your friendship, but they probably don't know how to be a friend in the first place. Or vice versa, if it's me, if I'm constantly having all the issues, if all of my friends are always a problem, like, let me take a look at the pattern. Is it that all my friends are always the problem because I keep attracting the same type of people that feed that same void, and they yes me to death, and they constantly tell me what I want to hear because they want to get in my network pocket, they want to get next to my friends because I'm pretty enough to be in their group, whatever nonsense people tell themselves about why they, attract or accept certain things into their lives. Regardless of the reason, like, is that the case? Is it because I'm doing that and I'm constantly attracting the same person? And or is it because I'm seeking someone who allows me to be with them this way, to talk down to them this way, to constantly have this push and pull relationship because I like the drama? I could like the drama. And a lot of us won't admit it, but we're attracted to drama. I'm not saying for everybody, and definitely that's not my life, but a lot of people are attracted to the drama. They think it's cute when their friends call them bitches. That ain't cute. You a friend, don't ever call me a bitch. That's not cute. Don't say, hey, bitch. No. It's not happening. Because where I come from, that's a fight. That's not cute. It's nothing cute about it. But some people think that that's okay. We take it as a term of endearment and we diminish ourselves, because as soon as that friend, that sister girl, call you a bitch when she a little bit angry, well, now you want to act like you mad. Well, why? She just called you that 2 seconds ago when she said, yes, bitch, you working that dress. It's the same thing. There's nothing cute about it. And that should not be a term of endearment for most people unless you're attracting some of that energy to you where you like that confrontational spirit, but then can't handle the confrontation when the confrontation really comes. Because when I really, as a friend, need to say, listen, that's not working for me. You talking to me like that is not working for me. You say in 1 minute that you value our friendship and all that, and the next minute you saying, why you look like that? Why you dress like that? Why you talking to him? When you doing all of that, when I'm just trying to share my joy, same thing. It's the same thing. So you got to be mindful. So in that case, and I'm just picking on platonic relationships for a second, in that case, that person showing me who they are, guy, girl, whatever, they're also showing me that they could never be anything more in this moment until one or both of us grow up. because people do evolve with the work, but they're showing me that they're not ready for a deeper level of conversation. So this takes us back to helping people know their position in your life, which we've talked about here before. You got to know your position. At the end of the day, I know that if that person is yeah, girl, you work that, but I can't talk to you about what I'm really going through. Your position is you'll probably be the person that I call when I have literally nothing else to do. And if I'm about my business and I'm about my bag, I always got something to do. So then we're never really talking. All relationships require a social contract. Be clear on your terms. Absolutely. Set the agenda. I just talked about this at the Queen Bee Syndrome conference where I was speaking last week in Delaware. That's a whole thing. One of the ways to cut through the nonsense is set your agenda. My agenda with Chantel, who's here today, my agenda with her is really clear. That is my ride or die. It's really clear. I'm there for her. She's there for me. She checks me. I check her. We're there for each other's family. We step in when we need to. We have no qualms about letting each other know when something ain't right. You tripping, you talking to me like you forgot who I was. Like, we both are able to go there and still go to dinner that night and still do it in love. Or not talk to each other for 3 months, not because of an incident, but because we got life stuff happening. And then when we team back up, it's like we picked up right where we left off. Our agenda is clear with each other. And you have to be able to do that. And if you don't have people in your life, friends or lovers, that you feel like you can be really clear with your agenda, then it's going to be a challenge across all levels. So of course that person cannot grow into being your lover from your friend because they were never a friend. That person can't go being from more than the water cooler conversation person that you just stopped by because you literally had nothing else to do, because that's typically where some of those professional relationships come from. You had nothing else to do. You wanted to ride by the time because you were disengaged at work. Somebody was pissing you off at work. You wanted to vent to someone else and they accepted it. They went right there with you, but that's all they will ever be. They can't be the person that you call at 7 a.m. when you need someone to step in for you and do something. They can't be the person that you say, listen, my grandmother's in the hospital, or my situation is changing, or, oh my God, I'm not sure how I'm gonna get from A to B because I'm running out of gas money. And what Kevin Hart say, the way my bank account is set up, like that. Like, they're not that person. Because if you give them that information and that's not the position that they play, all they're ever going to do is use it against you. They're going to be the person that comes back to you and says, oh, you don't remember when I did so-and-so for you? If you was a friend, you wouldn't have been taking note. That's number one. You would have been like, that's just part of what I do for my friends. Now, if it's lopsided, because I'm not saying that you shouldn't be mindful of what you do for other people, because you want to be mindful of your energy, mindful of your resources, be a little bit selfish, make sure you take care of you first, so you got something to pour out of your overflow. So I'm not saying, don't be careful and intentional about what you give, but you should not be like checking the roster so you can bring that back up to them as soon as they show you they're behind. You should already know that you shouldn't be dealing with nobody that's going to show you they're behind. And if you're not sure about that, the last thing you want to do is give from a space of regret. I shouldn't give my time or my energy in regret, but I can honor myself and cut that bad boy off. That's the difference, right? So if I gave, Anisha's my girl. If I gave Anisha $1,000 for whatever her situation is, and not that this has happened, but if I gave her $1,000 for whatever her situation is, and then she needed a ride to work, and then she needed somebody to watch, her 4-year-old and her 7-year-old, and then she needed something else, and then she needed from the court, right? Like, if she needs that, and that's just the space she's in, because sometimes life hits us all hard, and we have these dry spots. Well, she may not have anything energetically or resourcefully or financially to give back to me that moment. But if I can call Anisha and she's there to answer my call, what's up, girl? What can I do? You need to talk? And maybe that's all I needed. Maybe she needed to call her brother for something for me, whatever. Like, if I know that that's how her give is, because it's not equal dollar for dollar, moment for moment, time for time, then that's a good relationship. It doesn't matter that I might have been spending more in terms of the resource of something that way. She was giving her resource with her energy and her emotional availability to me. But in that example, if I'm doing all of that stuff for Anisha and I'm giving, and I realize every time I call, she's like, oh, I can't talk right now. I can't talk right now. Oh, girl, I'll hit you back, and never calls back. She's not answering my text messages. She's not responding. She's not replying. And I can tell she read, because it's the 21st century. So I know when you read my text message and you just not replying. And I don't mean that minute, that hour. I don't even necessarily mean that day if it's not an emergency, because we all grown and life hits us and we got stuff going on. But if that is our pattern and I'm always there for her and she is like next to never available for me unless she needs something, and in the moment I can like grab onto it, then my responsibility to myself, to honor myself, to be clear with myself is this needs to stop. Now, if we have a long history, we can have a conversation about it. If I feel like we've had a lot of conversations about it and it's the same old, it'll change for 2 or 3 weeks. Come on. I know some of y'all have relationships where it changed for 2 or 3 weeks and that was it. And that was on a good week. And then it went right back to being where it was. If that is constantly happening, and constantly for me is about 5 times, because I have a big breadth of capacity, that I'm noticing these patterns, and we've had these conversations for about 4 or 5 times, because I love you enough to have it 4 or 5 times. If I don't love you, we're going to have a conversation once, and that's going to be the end of it. You know, if I just like you, a good bit, or I love you with the love of the Lord, but it's not an in love, like a deeper, intimate connection, right? Then we're going to have a conversation one time. So you got to have parameters. Not everybody deserves 5 chances, if you know what I'm saying. But with that said, if that's happening, then it is on me to end my accessibility, or not at all. Dependent, right? Absolutely. So you're 1,000% right. Some people don't deserve it at all, because you just already know that they just came in, they slipped by you for a second, but you opened up your eye and was like, oh, never again. And you just cut them off. But either way, you want to end your accessibility. So when I say, oh, I used to be available to take your calls on the weekend, or when I was doing stuff with family, or when I was running around, I walk out of church to take that call to make sure you was good and do all of that. Well, now you get none of that. Now you get none of it. Now you get me clearly being honest with you about, let's tie a bow, as I like to say. Let's tie a bow on this relationship. And when I say tie a bow, I don't mean make it pretty and pretend that it's something that's not, to give a gift. I mean, let's wrap it up tight and give it back to the universe, because it's not something I want. Let's tie it up. And some people tie a bow on the relationship for you, intimately, like intimate partner wise, as well as in a relationship. They wrap it right on up. They have said the right thing to the wrong person. And what's done in the dark comes to the light. And I say that to people all the time. This world is so small. As big as it is, this world is so small. You have to be clear that it is less than 6 degrees of separation, especially in the age of social media. So you think that you talk to this person that you met 5 years ago from Uganda that you don't think knows nobody, and you had no idea they were 2 people removed from me, and they got right back. Be careful. Be careful. And I'm like, and the only person that would have even known that situation and known that go through or known that intimate thing about me, whether it was a crazy bad thing or a little just personal thing, or just, something that I thought was just a moment between us that I shared in confidence, but it came back. Oh, thank you. You wrapped the bow. And I'll let you know, because I accept confrontation. I don't look for it, but I accept it. I welcome the opportunity for us to have a conversation and see if we can clear it up and clean it up. And if we can't, because you've wrapped too many bows on things and you've tightened that bad boy with some rope around it. Remember the old school presents? It would be the silk bow, but because it wasn't going to stay, you had to put some yarn or some thin rope around it to really tighten it. Or some people back in the day, if you were a little hood, you would staple the bow down to make sure it stayed. Sometimes they've stapled things down for you to the point where it's like, even if you wanted to open it, unless you're purposely trying to just invite that back in your life, it's not going to be worth it. It's just not going to do it, right? Hey, Stephen, welcome. And my point for saying that is being mindful of what we allow into our lives before we go up a notch in that relationship. So if that water cooler chick or guy, whatever, was just for that moment, was just for when I seen you at work, that doesn't mean I got to go to your family barbecues that you're inviting me to on the weekend, because that means we're going another step into this relationship that I don't want. I know the position you play. I know that you're gossiping about everybody else, so why wouldn't you gossip about me? That's the reality. I know that you talk to your man at the time or your woman at the time like crap. So why would I entertain being your next woman? You've already shown me that you can't handle an energy like mine. Someone who's not going to bite their tongue. Someone who comes off a little bit strong. Someone who might be doing the work. And the work is an experience. And I truly want other people, because we're not perfect until we're in the ground and we can't make any more mistakes, right? That's when you're perfect, when you're dead. Because you can't make no more mistakes. There's nothing else for you to screw up. So when you're doing the work, you're not perfect. You're not better than anyone else, for sure. But you are in tune with your stuff. And that does make you different and worthy of something more. If you are willing to invest in yourself by getting in tune with you, recognizing that you are allowing some stuff, that you are repeating some behaviors, some habits, some not so great stuff along the way, if you are willing to recognize that, then you are worthy for more than that person who clearly is not deserving of you, friend or not. And I don't care if y'all was friends for 10 years before y'all started dating, or 20 years before you got married, or 3 intense years where y'all were in the trenches together and you feel like it was worth 30. It's not the same. You are worthy of so much more if you recognize and you're in tune with the fact that you have some stuff to do. That's the reality. Hey, Chantel. The other Chantel, was 2 Chantels here. Chantel Fitzgerald, welcome, welcome. If you're willing to recognize that, then you're ready. Then you have literally sent a signal out into the universe that says, bring me everything that I deserve. And it'll come to you in your time. It's not necessarily the same day, although sometimes it is, but it comes to you. You do have to know your worth. I love how my husband said that. Know your worth and demand your value. Absolutely. Absolutely. Waving at my cousin. Absolutely. You have to. And as soon as you do that, the world is literally your oyster. One bite at a time, as much as you can digest and handle. So we'll say that we want all of this. We want that love. We want that fiery passion. We want that good sex. We want that intimacy. We want these deep conversations. We want all of that. Meanwhile, you can't look at yourself in the mirror. You ain't ready for it. You can't have a conversation with someone. You still walking around saying, oh, I'm too skinny. I don't have enough of this. My boobs aren't big enough. I don't have enough hips. I need to go get an implant. I need to have this, or the opposite. You know, I'm too big. I need to get rid of my stomach and all that. Shut up. That's my professional advice. Stop it. Because when you put that out in the universe and you're telling your subconscious self that I don't think I'm good enough, I don't think I'm ready, you are literally saying, I can't handle all the stuff that I'm constantly dreaming about, writing about, journaling about, telling other people that I want. I'm saying that I can't handle it because I'm constantly doing the opposite of what I'm supposed to do, which is calling it forth to me with my actions. So when I look, and you guys know we talk about mirror work a lot here. When I look in the mirror every single morning before I brush my teeth and do my normal affirmations to kind of help with my reprogramming, when I look in the mirror and say, Naketa Wren Webster Thigpen, I love you. I love you. You are free. I release you from all of the negativity that you've said and done to yourself and to everyone else. Because, you know, you hurt people along the way. When you're a hurt person, you hurt people. And I was a hurt person. And my mouth, thank God that God has made it for something powerful. But my mouth, woo, child, my mouth could cut down a God. And that's not a joyful statement. That's a horrible thing to do with such an amazing gift. And I had to do the work. Know thyself and love her. Absolutely. I'm going to just cancel my therapy session for this Saturday. Something wrong with you. No, go to therapy. Go to therapy. Yes, I'm a psychotherapist for those who don't know, and balance relationship advisor and all that. But don't let me be your supplement. Let me be more of a vitamin to boost you in addition to. But I don't want to take advantage of your one-to-one work that you need to do in your space. You know what I'm saying? I love you. You are free. You are released. You are deserving and worthy of every good thing that you've ever had, that you've ever wanted, and that you will have. Receive it. Receive it. I love you. And then I go brush my teeth and I do my affirmations. But I know with all the stuff that I had going on in my life as a multi-trauma survivor and all of that stuff, and it still comes up. It's with all the work, the therapy, the coaching, the mentoring, the advising, the personal development soundboard, the journaling, the writing, the activity work. With all of that, there are still moments that things that I thought I dealt with will creep up when they're triggered, because there are trauma triggers and we all have them. Various things. Some people get trauma triggered from a certain person representing a certain shape, height, and width, and wearing a certain color, right? Some people get triggered because someone got into their energy space. I was sharing a story, and I'll tell you guys really quickly. On stage, the first time I realized that, it wasn't the first time, it was the first adult time, because my Kia self, my younger self, had been doing a lot of work and had grown into Naketa, right? Like I had grown into Naketa. And I was working, I had left Children's Hospital Philadelphia. I was working for another organization as a director. I was doing a lot of stuff. Absolutely, Partial. Hey, Mama, I didn't see you on here. We do have to talk. I was doing a lot of stuff, doing a lot of great work in the world. I was also kind of at a crossroads trying to figure out if I wanted to really jump into the entrepreneurship, the vision that I had already received. The vision, I was ready for the vision, I received it, and I was too scared to go after it. I was just too afraid, because we had family, we had life, we had kids, we had medical bills, we had all that stuff, we had the mortgage, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do if I do it? So I was wrestling with all of that, which was bringing up some insecurities. It was bringing up some doubt. It was bringing up some who do you think you are stuff that was coming up for me. You have to clean your house regularly. We thought we cleaned good, but there is always residual dust. Absolutely. And sometimes the dust is just because you opened the windows and the environment brought some stuff in, right? You clean top to bottom, but the environment brought some stuff in, so you got to keep cleaning. That's why we got to do spring cleaning, fall cleaning, summer cleaning, and everything in between, right? So I was going through some stuff. I was at my crossroads and stuff was coming up, which made me a little bit more hypersensitive to be triggered in a way that I probably wouldn't have been triggered had I not been doubting my power. Let's underline that. Doubting your power. If you've ever doubted your power, write that to yourself. You don't even have to write that here, but do not doubt your power. And I was doubting at that time. And a woman who was a queen, she had queen bee syndrome. She was my supervisor and she had her own issues. I was coming out of my office to hang like a sign-up sheet, because I was director of training and development as well as outcomes and behavioral health. And I was putting up a training sheet so the lawyers and the other therapists and stuff that needed the particular training we were doing could sign up for it and we could get a count. Now, everybody put stuff on the outside of their door. People got pictures of the kids and pumpkin patches and all kinds of stuff. I'm putting the training sheet on the door. And she had her own issues, so let's not walk around from that. I think when I was on stage, I referred to her as Big L because I was trying to be nice. So for Big L, who was 400 pounds, I'm 5'2.25". At the time, I was probably like 40 pounds lighter, maybe 50 pounds lighter than I am right now. So a little petite thing. I'm still fairly petite, but a little petite thing. And she's a good, I'm going to say 5'11". I don't want to say 6 feet. She's 5'11", 400 pounds. And let me dismiss that. Sorry, that was my alarm. And she ran, I'm coming out, I'm taping it on the door, and she ran over to me and got this close to my space, like this close, as I'm just taping up stuff on the door. And she was like, you can't put anything on the door. What are you doing? Why are you putting anything on the door? So as I turned slowly, because you know how you have an out-of-body experience? I had an out-of-body experience. I turned slowly and I saw myself jumping up on top of her neck and crushing her throat. I saw it happening. And I knew I'm petite, but I'm extremely strong. And I knew I could do it. And I literally had this moment where I was like, don't go to jail. don't go to jail. Like it was just coming over me. So I took a little bit of a step back and looked at her because I was trying to gather myself and was like, what are you talking about? And she started around, and I really didn't care for the answer. I think it was just like something that was happening in my processing. The chick was a hater. Oh, she was more than a hater. And as I said, I was like, what are you talking about? And she said it. And I literally got in her face and said, come into my office. Let's talk. Because I realized that this was the moment. This was the moment that I had to be extremely clear about my agenda, give her an opportunity for hers, because I welcome confrontation. And I knew that based on the resolve of this, I would be able to tell the court of Philadelphia that I gave her an opportunity to save her life. Like this is where I was. So what I helped her understand, out of body experience, I was about to snuff this broad. I really was. My spirit just beat the hell out of you, girl. My spirit really did. But fortunately, God was with me. Spirit was with me. Angels were with me. They were covering me, because Kia would have absolutely cut her with a little piece of tape. I would have did some kind of ninja cut right across her throat, and that would have been the end of it. But Naketa was being embraced. I wasn't there yet. I hadn't completely met Naketa, but I was trying. I was trying to reach out to Naketa. Naketa was my future self. Naketa was the one who was grown up, who had it together, who could handle someone being a trigger to her trauma. Like, she could handle it. And she didn't know anything about my trauma stuff, anything about the abuse, anything about the assault, anything about fighting on every day on a regular basis. She didn't know anything about that. And it was none of her goddamn business, first of all. How about that? But she didn't know any of that. But what she did is she triggered that in me, because we have trauma triggers. So I took her she followed me. I didn't take her. She followed me into the office, and I explained very clearly in about maybe 30 seconds, because when I'm super angry, like when I'm beyond angry, I don't talk much. When I'm really angry, I'll talk a lot. Like, let's talk it out. But I was at that point where I'm about to start smiling, and that's just a whole different thing. So when I took her in the office, I said, let me be clear, because she's a psychotherapist as well. She's a licensed clinical social worker as well. Well, she was a licensed social worker. She wasn't clinical, which was part of her issue. She didn't like that I had more certification than she did, which is not my problem. That's her problem. I'm trying to tell you, some people's stuff is their problem that they're just trying to put on you and make you look like you crazy, or that you got something going on wrong, or that you were wrong for the way you said something or the way you looked at the world, when it's really their insecurities being vomited back on you. That's what's really happening for a lot of people. And even inside your relationships. Okay, back up. So I let her know that she needed to be mindful of people's triggers, because she got in my personal space, and that was going to turn into something that could never happen again. So I gave her a very clear warning. That should never happen again for any person, but especially for another coworker, period. And then she ended up telling me, because she apologized and she got real sentimental, and tears don't affect me, unfortunately, but she got real sentimental and was like, well, you're trying to take my job, and you want my job. I had no intention on coming after this woman's job. I was in my third year of my doctorate, getting ready to work on my dissertation, trying to figure out my life, feeling all kinds of confidence issues myself, because I wasn't confident or brave enough to walk into the thing that I really wanted. And I was trying to justify stuff by staying here and doing work that I knew wasn't really the work to pull me forth, but I was just good at it. So I was torn with all this stuff. The last thing I was thinking about was coming after this woman's job, but she in her head just saw me as a threat. I saw her as irrelevant. She literally meant nothing to me other than being a coworker that I wanted to have a good, healthy relationship with. I didn't invite her to my house. I didn't want to be BFFs with her. I didn't do lunch with her. There was like nothing more to that, but she saw my power. You see where I'm going with this? If you get where I'm going, put some hearts right here, right now, because I'm getting hyped, y'all. And I know I got to get out the door, but I'm getting hyped. She saw my power. And she couldn't handle it. And that's what happens with a lot of people that we let close to us. They get close enough to see the power. They see the full potential. They see how dope you are. They see where you're going, even when you don't. And they will rope you in, pretending to build some connection, pretending to be intimate, pretending to want more of a relationship as friends, maybe as more, They'll pretend that there's some authentic intimacy when intimacy is going a little further and developing a connection, but the connection has to be transparent and clear. The intentions have to be clear when you're intimate. They'll pretend and try to mask it, but it's really because they are afraid of you. They're afraid of you. So what do? You keep your enemies close, right? People say it all the time. They tell you all the time, and they show you in their actions. They will keep you close. They will make sure that they knock on your door every day at work and say, "Oh, girl, you want to go to lunch? Hey, Steven, we should talk. We should have a conversation. I want to take you out. I want to know more about your Trailblazer podcast. I want to do this. I want to do that." They'll put it out there. They'll pretend like they want to get close, but it's really because they see you as an enemy. They see you as a threat, but they want to pull you in as if you are a friend. And for the narcissistic, sociopathic ones at the time, my husband's reminding me of an appointment, y'all. #OCD. For those that have a challenge on a deeper level, they'll even go as far as getting into an intimate relationship with you if they can. And if it's just platonic, all of a sudden, they're your BFF. They're trying to be your BFF, right? Come on, Taraya, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Like they'll try to get super, super close, like they're the next big thing. And if it's a relationship that could turn into an intimate partner relationship, they'll definitely take advantage of that too. Because you put it out there. You put it out there just being, a good person, trying to share vulnerability, trying to, connect on relatability, trying to show that you're not afraid to share some stuff that might be going on with you, with someone that you feel like you can trust, and they will try to whip it around and use it against you. I'm just saying. Am I the only person that's ever been through that? I'm just saying. My sister said my block game is strong. I know. That's the power of social media. You can block people from texting you, from calling you, from social media, and it is so helpful to do that. But you can't block people from draining you if you're still allowing them access to you. That's the challenge. We got to be able to make sure that people cannot get access to you. Now, you can be available because y'all coworkers or y'all neighbors or y'all kids go to soccer together or whatever, available to say hi, good morning, goodbye. Well, like I told a friend yesterday, I speak to my plant. Y'all gonna think I'm crazy, and that's okay. I say good morning and good night to my plant every day because I do believe that everything that has breath of life, you speak into and it'll grow. I do believe that. But I don't have full conversations with my plant. I don't invite my plant anywhere. I don't pretend that I care about my plant's day. I don't do any of that. So that's the difference between availability and access, right? I'm available to say, good morning. I want you to grow today. And I keep it moving. But I'm not pretending like, oh yeah, I should take you out with me. I should introduce you to my family. Our kids should play together. No, they shouldn't. Because 9 out of 10 times, if the mama and the daddy got challenges, the kids are probably mimicking the same thing. I know that there is hope for our babies and our future because I'm one of them. My mother is #over the top. My father is #over the top times 20. Like, it is not necessarily good. And the only reason that I came out even close to somewhat normal is because I recognized at a point, finally got there, that I had to do the work. That I couldn't just think that it was going to fall in my lap and everything was going to be perfect. I had to do the work and want different. My rule, and you guys will see it when you read the book, because the book is coming out very, very soon. My rule was I wanted to be 75% different. I knew everything I saw wasn't horrible. They had good hygiene practices. They could burn in the kitchen. They could cook. They could do all of that. So there were some good things that if I was able to see the good and extract it, I could see that it's something that I wanted to keep. But I also knew that there was 75% that was not healthy. I didn't want to repeat those things in my life, in my relationships with my kids, with my grandkids, with my sibling relationships, with my friendships, and definitely not with my love. I didn't want to do that. So I knew I had to do different. And the next step after just knowing it, just knowing that something ain't right and something wrong, is to book that appointment with the therapist. Get it in, show up, open up, and be consistent in the work that you have to do in between your appointments. And after the therapy had gotten rooted and started, I was able to educate myself, some personal development, some self-help, and over time understood this whole coaching industry and mentor and the power of sponsorships and all of that stuff. It took a while. It wasn't a quick fix, but let me be completely honest, and I will leave this on that. The minute that I decided that I needed to do more than just know that I needed help and to get the help for me, forget all the masters and all the dissertation, doctorate, certifications, license, and all that crap. Forget being able to be amazing for other people. I had to be amazing for myself. And the minute that I said, let's book this appointment, let's do this, and let's show up and open up, is the minute that my life changed. Period. Selfish, permission to pause, live, love, and laugh your way to joy. Coming soon. Isn't my husband the best? That is the name of the book, y'all. It is really, really coming. The pre-orders will be available really soon. He's the best. They say the hardest part is getting started. It is. And it's because our ego wants to keep us in this place. And our egos are not bad. They protect you, right? They protect you from being broken down from other people's nonsense. But when your ego is bigger than the other parts of you, your empathy, your compassion, your ability to see clearly, when it's interrupting that, your ego can absolutely block you from the thing that is uncomfortable. Because our brains are here to keep us safe, to keep us comfortable. And as soon as we want to change a habit, we decide we need to wake up a half an hour earlier, or we decide we need to go to the gym, or we decide that we want to tighten up because we just want to feel stronger, healthier, safer, sexier, whatever the case is, our brains is like, that means we got to do something different. So then we start having excuses. Oh no, you know what? It's just bad. Just Netflix and chill today. Just put your feet up. Oh, you know what? You need to go to sleep. Don't breathe different today. No, breathe. Oh, that's so weird. Everybody meditating. Meditation don't work. Like then we start hearing all this stuff that we'll pull on. And it's not true. Our brains are there to keep us safe. Not understanding that to be safe and strong, to be wise, to be open, to tap into that thing that already exists. You're looking for your purpose. It's right there. It's already there, but we got to tap into it. We can't tap into it if we keep listening to that subconscious stuff that's climbing all the way up saying, girl, no. Boy, don't do that. You ain't got time. You're too old. It's too late for you. Like we have that stuff happening because we want to keep our same habits, even when we know it doesn't work. Even when we used to be an athlete, right? We might have used to done things differently and we created new patterns. We fell into them for whatever reason, because of life or anything else. Right, Chantel? She said, love this. You're amazing. I got to run. Oh, yes. Thank you, Chantel. I'm supposed to be running too. I need to follow your example. My husband is already on here yelling at me in love, but he's yelling at me. But we got to be able to do it. So that's it, guys. I'm going to make sure that this gets saved to go into the story. I have to call my Uber to get downtown. I'm being fussed at, so I'm going to be obedient to the spirits and lead in excellence so I can show up on time. I will see you guys next Thursday, very briefly, because I'm actually on my way to New York that day for the New York event, Ambitious Women Defining Success. You can see that in my link in my bio on Instagram too, so make sure you check that out if you don't have your tickets yet. But outside of that, come into the Intimacy Advantage Clinic. We can continue the conversation on Slack for free. So make sure you join that and we can have great conversations. Oh, thank you. I love you too. I love you too. Thank you. And share the story too with people who need to see it. It'll be available for 24 hours. So from now until tomorrow afternoon. Mwah. Have an amazing day. And I pray that this served you extremely well. I'm Naketa Thigpen. Talk to you next week.